Hello again. Your faith in God can be strengthened by watching this video as we explain biblical accounts of faith. Please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Let's jump right into the first story. 1. The mother of Jesus, Mary, Luke chapter 1. The initial narrative centers on Mary, who is recognized as the maternal figure of Jesus. The occurrence of a virgin becoming pregnant is widely regarded as highly improbable. In the first chapter of the Gospel of Matthew, it is recounted that the angel Gabriel manifests himself to an individual named Mary, who is identified as a virgin. The angel proceeds to address Mary, reassuring her by saying, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have been granted favor by God. The individual will conceive and afterwards deliver a male child, who is to be named Jesus." The decision that Mary was faced with had the potential to significantly alter the course of her life indefinitely. Embracing this divine design would lead to a pervasive sense of doubt and disgrace, casting a shadow over her and her family indefinitely. The potential consequence of her son's demise would likely induce profound anguish and sorrow within her heart, given the harsh and inequitable nature of his passing. This would position her at the forefront of an enduring conflict between the celestial and infernal powers. However, despite these circumstances, Mary expressed to Gabriel, "I am the servant of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word." The expression of faith presented is remarkably impactful. Subsequently, the fulfillment of the prophecy found in Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14 occurred, whereby it was stated that a virgin would conceive and bear a son, who would be named Emmanuel, denoting the presence of God among humanity. Mary's comments serve as an exemplary model for individuals who aspire to faithfully follow the Lord. Regardless of the challenges, expenses, or risks involved, it is advisable for individuals to adopt Mary's words as a personal affirmation of their faith, "I am the servant of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word." 2. Abraham and Isaac, Genesis chapter 22. Ranked in the second position is a narrative characterized by an extraordinary display of selflessness. This narrative holds significant emotional weight for parents, making it one of the most distressing accounts within the biblical text. The level of faith required to present the life of one's own kid to God is challenging to grasp. However, Abraham demonstrated his willingness to obey his son, Isaac, by being prepared to do so. The text evokes a palpable sense of tension as Isaac becomes acutely aware of a discrepancy and poses a question to his father, inquiring, although the fire and wood are present, the lamb designated for the burnt offering appears to be absent. Could you kindly elucidate this matter? Abraham, relying solely on his unwavering faith in the moral and virtuous nature of God, responded by affirming that God would personally ensure the provision of a lamb for the purpose of the sacrificial burnt sacrifice, addressing his son. Upon reaching the summit of a mountain, Abraham proceeded to position his son, who was securely bound, onto the altar and afterwards elevated his knife. Abruptly, a celestial being commissioned by the divine realm vocalized from the celestial sphere, addressing the individual known as Abraham with repetition, "Abraham. Abraham. It is imperative not to physically harm the child." Abraham directed his gaze upwards and observed a ram ensnared within the dense vegetation. The sacrifice was provided by a divine being. Isaac was granted his freedom in order to embark onto a fresh chapter in his existence. The faith of Abraham was acquired through the experience of profound mental anguish and distress. Moreover, this particular text holds significance as it is one of the most lucid depictions of the gospel inside the Old Testament. A compassionate paternal figure who shown a willingness to make a profound sacrifice by offering his sole offspring, only to ultimately have this offspring restored to him in a living state. 3. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego and the furnace, Daniel 3. Following Babylon's conquest of Jerusalem, many Jewish captives were taken to Babylon and forced into the army. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are the names we use to refer to three young men who were among the captives. These young people may have served under a pagan empire, but they never stopped believing in the God of the Bible. The people of Babylon were put to the test when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon ordered that a huge golden statue of himself be bowed down before and worshipped. They refused and defied the king in faith. "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this issue. The God we adore is able to rescue us from the fiery furnace, and he will rescue us from your majesty's hands if we are In a fit of wrath, the king ordered that a massive furnace be heated to 7 times its normal temperature, and that the lads be thrown in. Tossing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the furnace caused the flames to leap out and slay their attackers. Amazingly, though, all 3 young men were still breathing when the monarch checked on them. Furthermore, a 4th godly man joined them in the flames. Nebuchadnezzar removed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the fire and issued an edict that forbidden speech against their God was to cease immediately. 4. The Red Sea, Exodus chapter 14. Moses and the Israelites were finally freed from slavery when he and God sent 10 plagues on Pharaoh. The Egyptians gave the entire nation of slaves everything they asked for, and so they went out of the country as a conquering army. Pharaoh's heart hardened, however, as he took stock of the destruction the Hebrews had left behind, and he mobilized his army to retake their former captives. According to Exodus chapter 14, Moses brought the people of God to the edge of the Red Sea. A thunderous rumble erupted out of nowhere. As all of Pharaoh's chariots arrived on the horizon, the sound of thousands of galloping horses filled the air. The fearful group that Moses had led out into the wilderness began to plead with him, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness?" Amid a sea of anxious onlookers, there was no way for him to go across the ocean, a pursuing army of enemies. In his unwavering faith, Moses urges, "Do not be afraid. Keep your footing, and the Lord will bring you deliverance today." The waters of the Red Sea divide when Moses raises his rod. The magnitude of this miracle is incredible. Pharaoh's army is wiped out and the Hebrews are freed in a single day. 5. David and Goliath, 1 Samuel chapter 17. For 40 days, the Philistines taunted Israel's armies under the leadership of their champion, Goliath. Goliath, who some estimate was over 9 feet tall, challenged any man from Israel to face him one-on-one for a winner-takes-all battle. No one in all of Israel had the courage to face him. And that's when a little shepherd boy bringing lunch to his brothers wandered into the story. Upon hearing the boasts of Goliath, David was outraged. He marched into the tent of King Saul and volunteered for duty. Saul tried to fit David into his armor, but David refused. He told Saul that, as a shepherd, God had given him victory over lions and bears and that God would now deliver this giant into his hands. Saul was moved by the young boy's faith and sent him out to face the Philistines. Upon seeing David, Goliath mocked him. But David replied with a battle cry for the ages, "You come against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David ran towards the giant with his sling and let a single rock fly. The rest, as they say, is history. David's faith in God was unshakable. The size of his obstacle did not matter, he knew the size of his God. 6. Esther, the Book of Esther. All the Jews in the Persian Empire were spared from annihilation thanks to Esther, a queen whose faith rescued them. Everything looked up for Esther after King Xerxes made her queen. But a jealous man named Haman was hatching a sinister plot behind the scenes. After Mordecai, Esther's protector, insulted Haman, Haman led the charge to get a law passed that would have had all Jews in the Persian Empire killed. Esther and Mordecai, both native Jews, were in mortal danger because of this legislation. Esther's protector Mordecai gave her this stern admonition as she agonized over what to do: "If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have been brought to your throne for this very purpose? Because this is the time." Esther's heart was encouraged by these words, and she went to see the king without an invitation. This was a treacherous move, as it was illegal to approach the king without permission. But Esther trusted God and went to the king to make her case. This led to the discovery of Haman's conspiracy, the execution of Haman and his associates, and the survival of the Jewish community in Persia. 7. Jesus' feet is washed by a woman, Luke chapter 7. This amazing moment of faith begins with Jesus accepting a dinner invitation from a Pharisee. While at the man's house, a woman, well known for her sinful lifestyle, came in with an alabaster jar of perfume. It is estimated that this jar of perfume would have been worth a year's wages. Moreover, this expensive item was likely the woman's dowry. To sacrifice this treasure was to sacrifice her future. And yet, in Luke chapter 7 we are told this woman broke open her jar of perfume and began to wash Jesus' feet with her tears. This scene greatly offended the Pharisee who had invited Jesus to dinner. Why would Jesus allow a sinful woman to treat him in such a way? But Jesus defended the woman and used the occasion to teach powerfully on love and forgiveness. According to Jesus, this woman's act of great love was in response to the great forgiveness she had received. This woman, in a single moment, sacrificed the most valuable thing she had. In response to this tremendous act of faith, Jesus said to her, "Your faith has saved you, go in peace." Let these narratives remind you that faith isn't just about religion, it's a force that can fuel our ambitions, guide our decisions, and uplift our spirits in times of uncertainty. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more enlightening content.